Peace, assalamu alaikum, blessings to everybody. Shalom, whatever language of peace or greetings that you require, man, I wish that upon you. I want to talk about the 6 laws of thought leadership real quick. And I want to go over these because I believe that these will be good for a lot of people who may want to walk a similar path, to the one that I have been doing. And I think it's important to operate with laws. So I've been really honing down and just sitting down and putting everything that I do into like formulas, frameworks, laws, so that they're easily digestible for the average person that want to take it upon themselves and learn the same. I have some books coming out that I will be writing as well. But until then, I just want to go ahead and go into this subject about the 6 different laws of thought leadership. Before I do, let me make sure that I put this on. The first law, matter of fact, before I even go into the laws, let me tell y'all, let's go over some of the top thought leaders to ever exist, at least based on historical standards and records. We can have our own at the same time. People always ask me a lot of times, like, what is a thought leader? And I want to go into that because when I first utilized that title, it was because I wanted something that encompasses all of who I am. We now live in a time and day and age where so many people are nailed down by their title that they feel limited because their job may be insignificant. Their business, may be insignificant at some point in time. And technology has changed so much that people are trying to figure out, okay, how do I now make this title continue to have value? And, I'm a thinker, of course, being the first one who leads himself into a better way of thinking towards my own self-thought leadership. I had to think about the future, right? How do I come up with a title of what I want to do with my life that fits the way I want to use my gifts, skills, talent, and energy? Right? And I had put into the chat, I don't have a job, I have a mission. It's completely different, right? Now, upon that mission, regardless of what you want to do in life, whether you want to be an artist, whether you want to be a poet, whether you want to be a thought leader, everybody needs resources. Everybody needs money, network. So the way we go about doing ours, of course, is entrepreneurship plus thought leadership. Because in America, you got to be able to make money. You can't reach people if you don't have resources, right? So this is why we don't just do any one typical thing because, in order to be able to sustain your life and do something at a high level, especially black people in America or people that come from impoverished environments where you first generational wealth builders to where you didn't inherit a single thing, right? Then that means that love or whatever that you want to do, you also have to marry that with a way to where you can have a sustainable life. You can have flows of income, right? There's a myriad of things that you have to do to get from survivalship to elevation. So this is why our thought leadership in the black community often looks different than in other communities because it's not like a person can just go straight path to their desired purpose and their gift, skills, and talent. That has to make way for being able to produce products and services and industry, right, and produce income and flow. So this is why we are as creative as we are in the particular manner that we go about executing. And I'm sure all of you all know that you all may be working jobs that you don't want to work. And if you had the money, you would be doing something completely different. Completely different. But can't go to war without money, and life is war, right? So, do a quick search. Thought leadership spans from a different range of disciplines: philosophy, science, politics, art, business. So, in consideration, some of the lists that the general public will consider as some of the top thought leaders, which exclude conscious thought leaders, right, of the black community and movements, because most of the time or all of the time. They didn't speak on what was in flow with national interest, I would say that. So you have people like Aristotle, Plato, Isaac Newton, Mahatma Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King, Steve Jobs. These are people that people historically consider to be thought leaders in their respective fields, that they lead the innovation and the vision, right, in those particular disciplines. So a thought leader is not just a title absent. It is a work that is connected to that, an innovation that is connected to that, right? So what is that roadmap, and what is your thought leadership? So let's go with this. And there's a few roadmaps that one can follow, but let's first start with this. The law of visionary. You have to align yourself with a grand vision with actionable steps. And this merges the power of ambitious dreaming with practicality needed to execute these dreams, ensuring that visionary ideas can be transformed into tangible results. I believe that all great thought leaders have great visions. If you don't have a great vision, then there's nothing to lead people towards. So coming up with a grand vision, whether it's a way that you want the world to be, it's a way that you want people to think, it's a way that you want people to see, it's something that you want the world to understand. So I would believe, first of all, it comes up with an idea of you have to think big. What is it in the world that you want to change? Like when I remember I used to tell people I wanted to enlighten the world, and I had to be more specific. And for our people, I wanted us to be updated on science and technology and entrepreneurship, like STEAM, right? Putting the STEM back into the culture, because all we have is the arts. And thinking about if we were able to marry that creative consciousness that we have, right? And we can see archetypes of black men that, weren't the standard that society said was all right. But if we could be like, all right, what happens when, you got these brothers that got consciousness, but they got money at the same time? Now it's like this rich and righteous paradigm that you're pushing. So the goal was to change the paradigm so that we're not just left up for these examples of, criminality. Because my brother Vince told me, he say, creativity minus opportunity equals criminality, right? And so this is why so many people find themselves, unfortunately, in situations where they find themselves incarcerated and things of that nature. So it's like, what about creating new archetypes for us to look up to? So therefore, when we think about aspiring, right? Because people say sometimes I motivate them, right? Which there's two types of motivation, which intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, right? But then there is the inspiration, which is watching what you do, right? And then when people watch what you do, they're inspired by what you do, and then they want to do something themselves. So it's the walking, right? And when you walk the talk, then you do it. So inspiration is not just about, speaking, it's about doing, and people become inspired by what you do. And then it's education. Like what I'm doing right now is like teaching you, right? And then to go into a deeper blueprint, I probably will with the high level community. Going to a deeper blueprint is really going into the details. And going into the details and saying, okay, here's what I do. Here's the step by step. This is how I create my content machine. This is how I work with my team, right? This is how I build myself up. This is, how I exercise, right? This is how I talk when I go into rooms. This is the thinking. This is what I read, right? This is the strategy that I have. So then that will be giving people a framework and a formula for them to follow so that they can then execute their vision as well. So some people need different layers. Some people need motivation to find an extrinsic meaning something outside of themselves to push them to get into motion and get into action. A motive plus activity, that's motivation. So some people just need to be inspired. I see you do it, I want to do the same thing, man. that really made me want to do that. I like the way you did that. Right? And then some people need to be educated. Look, I want to do it, but I don't know how. So everybody doesn't have that ability to research and seek knowledge on their own, so they need coaching. So then that's when you go into instruction giving. Hey, this is the step-by-step. This is how I bring that part of you out of you. You got it in you. You just don't know how to bring it out you all the way. And then now we are in 2024 where we're at that place of automation where it's saying that, okay, you really have this idea. I know you may be overwhelmed by the process and all the learning, right? Maybe you have resources, therefore automation, I'll do it for you. So then that's when people set up systems to say, hey, it's like you want to have an app, you have an idea, come to me with your idea, we'll work with you through the idea, then get that done. So now we automating the process, like when we teaching, right, smart technology, right, such as like AI, we're saying that we can help automate your workflows and help automate your businesses and automate to monetize, things of that nature, right? Automate your content production for creators, because everybody needs to create content and market and brand. So those are some of the big things that we focus when it comes to, teaching AIs. Number one, first is about creative mental function, how to think, so you can use it and it doesn't use you, and you know how to use it for whatever purpose you have, whatever vision that's in your mind, right? And then how do you set up this chain of functions to where it automates your workflow so that you don't have to focus on the things you don't want to, you can focus on the things that you do. So all of that comes into having, a vision, because vision gives direction. Number two would be empowered learning. So you have to commit to a lifelong process of learning and strategy improvement. And you have to be someone who embraces knowledge, conventional and unconventional sources, right? And I believe that you have to be in a constant state of exposure to knowledge and information. When I was younger, I used to try to do the thing that was unexpected of me at all times. That was always my goal. I thought about my environment, I thought about myself, and I said, listen, one of my strategies early on was to always learn things that people wouldn't expect I would know, that they would have to assume based on my financial conditions, my environment of being in the hood and the streets. They would then have to look at this young black man, right? Because, and this is something I'm going to really teach about, how do you become a high-level observer and how you step outside of yourself. So most people that's surviving, they look from their own lens of view. That's all they can see. What I need to do, what I need to get done. So people that's in survivorship, they don't really have empathy because they only see through their eyes. I need this, I got to eat, I got to get money. So most people that's in survivor, they're not thinking about how other people are viewing them. This is why people that come from, impoverished environments and dangerous environments, you be wondering why they don't make this change, because they're not looking at themselves through your eyes, right? That's step two thinking, right? Step one thinking is just survival, what I need to do. Step two, now you're thinking about your connection to others. So anyway, I say all of that because I always thought in the third. I would think in the third, like, all right, this is how that person would view me. I didn't just think about how I'm viewing them. So I would think about how they viewing me. And so now I'm thinking about how the world views me. So now my goal is creating and controlling worldview, right? This was my thinking from a youngster. So I would say, okay, this is how the cop go view me. This is how the white man go view me. This is how the black man go view me. This is how the world go view me, right? So I would then make sure that I learn things so I know that I can automatically destroy their worldview of me when I'm talking to them. And then I bring up something about philosophy. And they're like, wait a minute. That's not who I thought that was. I know, because you have this box of assumptions that you made based on people in this environment. Same thing when people see me wearing a crown, people see me out. They don't know what I know until I start talking to them. And then they're like, wait a minute, this brother can speak on finance and tech and spirituality and consciousness, and right? He can talk about culture, and he can go into all these different pockets. And so now they have to take me for who I am, not who they thought I was, right? So now I'm deleting their bias and I'm forcing them to respect me as I am. So a lot of people want me to commit to one thing. Bro, say this is what you do. Say that is what you do. No. You want me to box myself so that you can put me in this box. So if I do things outside this box, then you can judge me. People be like, what does 19 Keys do? I do me. How do you feel? What is the effect you have from the work I do? Did you learn something? Do you feel inspired? Right? Like, what do I do is I affect the world. And what I do for each individual is different depending on what you come. Some people come for motivation. Some people come for inspiration. Some people come for education. Some people come from automation. Some people come for instruction. Right? Everybody doesn't have that ability to be that well-rounded. So therefore, we may make fun of somebody else who is high level because we don't have that ability to be multidimensional ourselves. Right? So I always understood that as a youngster, and I knew that I would have to, and this is what, like, for me, grew my love for learning. Right? I knew that, being a polymath, school used to be about making people like that, well-rounded, universal thinkers. That's what school was about in the beginning. University, universal thinking. Right? So it was about the universality of your mind and your thinking. But now it's not like that. Now it's pushing you to a job to pick a topic to be one-dimensional, to tell the world this is my title and this is who I am, so people can judge you off the context of that title window. No, I'm a soul, spirit, man, mind being. You know what I'm saying? So embracing learning, because learning is connected to your wealth standard. The more you learn, literally the more you earn. If you go look at the Bureau of Statistics and you go look at white, Asian, Hispanic, Jewish, black, you go look at income levels, it's directly proportionate to education levels. So, the more you learn, the more you can do. And a learning mind is a fresh mind. It's an empowered mind. It's a mind that can constantly think of new ways. It's a mind that does not get rigid and stuck, but it's malleable. And learning is necessary the older you go, right? Especially after 25, because your brain has a shift and it changes. So you have to constantly learn because you have something called white matter and neuroplasticity, where your mind becomes plastic and it becomes harder for you to learn. So learning keeps your mind agile, right? It's like stretching and keeping your body, nimble, right? And it's agile. So you want to constantly learn so, you don't get these debilitating mental issues that happen as you age and these age-related illnesses. So learning is very important to keep your mind fresh. A child is doing what? Learning. A child is forced to learn because the child doesn't know, so he's always intaking data. So that mind is necessary. The problem is the more you store when you're younger, the more you can learn, right? That's the way the brain works, because the brain is just like, well, if we don't need it, then we'll just get rid of these things, right? And, we can go deeper into how that science works at another time, but it's very important. So learning is that process that every thought leader is required, because you don't want to become rigid selling one way of thinking when you could have developed and advanced your wisdom so that you're always pushing yourself and pushing others. So this is why I may be talking about something now that I learned 5 years ago. It just wasn't time. And there's no point of a thought leader to just give you the information that's already out there. So yes, I'm going to talk about different things. We're going to get to that. But the law of constant learning, being a lifelong student, is necessary. The law of strategic networking. Now, I would say this is definitely in the modern day and age, but also I would say that this works for thought leaders of all age. And when I say age, I mean periods of time from thousands of years ago till now. You have to build networks, and not just for personal gain, but to foster mutual growth and value creation. Your connections should serve as bridges to new opportunities and deeper insights, amplifying collective success through collaboration. Now, if you've been following me, I've always liked collective success. This is only 6 laws. It's not too many. The first is the law of visionary. The second one is the law of empowered learning. And now this is the law of strategic networking. Build networks not just for personal gain, but to foster mutual growth and value creation. Your connection should serve as a bridge to new opportunities and deeper insights, amplifying collective success through collaboration. Now, if you've been following me, I'm not sure how long you've been following me, but you know I'm always working and trying to do collaboration. They don't always work out. Sometimes we outgrow them. Sometimes, right, there's a mutual, breaking of that relationship. Sometimes things don't work out. And people inside have different agendas and different visions. This is where you learn a lot, though, about yourself and a lot of other people. Number one, we learn more in failure than we do in success. So when men have failure and they learn, they improve. So you may be trying to down somebody that failed at something. And it's like, no, they're actually now better. They're actually now more capable. Right? Their resume now has more value because now they know what not to do and what to do. And now they have experience, right, that others don't have, that have not went through that process of failure. So now they have story that they can tell, experience that they can relate. So now their next move should be even better. I will post this live. Their next move should be even better now. You don't want somebody in position that doesn't have what? Experience. But building a network allows you to grow as well, because I believe you should have two generals, and they should be dissimilar. And this is like when you get to call people for advice. Yo, I need to know, what should I do here? You call one general, then call the other one. They should be different. Now, if they are different, they can give you two different perspectives. But if they ever align on anything, then you know that's what you should do. So everybody should have those two generals. As you look on the movies, you see that devil on the shoulder and the what's called on the shoulder. But instead, have you two generals that represent two perspectives. One could be optimistic, one could be pessimistic. So you're getting those two different sides, right? And sometimes those generals can be, it can be people at a distance. It don't have to be people always, but it can be people at a distance. If you don't have that and you want to know something on the subject, and go to a thought leader that usually speaks on that's different than someone else, and then converge those two to meet in the middle. So having a network, though, is important. And in networking, there's a science to relationship building that many people don't know, because after you connect with a person, that's the easy part. Many people will give you their number. Many people will give you the opportunity to see is y'all vibe. But you know that you probably got people numbers, but they don't always respond. Maybe they busy, maybe they not. You may not know how to intrigue them. Some relationships are easier. They just automatically flow because your personalities are connected. Some people, you have to prove out a value. They too busy to just connect with people on low-level things. You have to start with value. And then they will respond because it's in alignment to their vision and where their life is flowing. The higher up you try to network with people, the more valuable their time is and the less time that they have to give, which is the more value that you have to add to their time in order for them to give you their time. So it's no fluff. It ain't, hey, let me talk to you about something. Hey, I got an idea. Hey, I want to pick your brain. They have no time for that. Literally, you go into them because they don't have the time, because they spent their time producing value that you want to be associated and or connected with. So if you start with layer one, they're looking at you like, no, you're not in that stage of life as somebody that I want to be connected with, because you haven't done the work. You still on the stage of just thinking about stuff. They need to be connected with people who are doing things and that's adding value. And you created a value of something they can invest in, or you have money that you want to give to them. So you're already respecting the value that they produce and the time that they have, because they already have enough people usually disrespecting that and not understanding and or appreciating that. So networking is very important, but the art of it is something that gets lost on many people, right? Your connections should serve as bridges. So connections can be worth and are worth more than money. I know a lot of people, and I don't always foster every relationship. But if I take my time to sit down and go through my phone, and y'all see the people along the way, I can call so many different people. But it's more so about like, all right, you may be good with somebody for a year or two, and maybe nothing fosters from that. And then finally something aligns. Or about having connections, political connections. Political connections are very real, and this is the most important thing about going to a college. Person goes to a college, they get connections. This person is a judge, this person a politician, this person is CEO. Right? That's power. So there's literally power in that, because now you can make phone calls and get things done. Poor men don't have connections. Rich men do. Wealthy men do. Right? So as a thought leader, you want to have those connections because also you can learn, you can get access to insights. I was talking with a gentleman yesterday about, he was a venture capitalist for this AI that is creating these, that invented these small sensor chips that's microscopic, that takes motion data, right? Detailed motion data, and turns that into quantitative data that can be analyzed for a specific purpose. So let's say they put these small chips on these football players while they're running, and they're getting real motion data about their heart, about their movement, about their pressure, about how they move, everything. So now they got a whole new data set that they can analyze, and this is supposed to be like completely new invented. But anyway, I bring up that point not to explain this business model, but to just say, like, if I'm not in these environments, talking with different people, associating with different people, I can't see the full picture of the way the world is developing, the way things are going. Right? And this is why networking is important, because if you're leading people's thoughts, you can't just have your thoughts. You have to have access to things that's going on. I talk to people who are dissimilar to myself. They're not the same. They're completely different. So therefore, I can think different, not just from my own thoughts and my insights. Right? I want to be able to see the 360 perspective of like what's happening in the world. From the white man's perspective, the Asian man's perspective, the negative,